everyone, this is Amanda at Amanda's Booktopia. If you're new here, welcome, and if not, welcome back. And today I'm going to talk about books that are coming out in September that I'm very, very interested in reading, some of which I might not get to right away, but I would like to get to them at some point. I have a whole list of books. How many do I have, actually? Right, we have a list of 17 books that are coming out in September that I very much would like to read, and I'm excited for each and every one of them. I'm going to tell you the books and a little bit about what they're about, and I have my GoodReads pulled up on my laptop, so I can tell you the descriptions if I don't know anything, so that'll be very helpful. And so we're going to start with the first book that's coming out on September 2nd, and if I'm able to, I'll try and get book covers up in the corner so you can see what they look like. And the first one coming out on the 2nd that I'm interested in reading is called The Moon Flowers by Abigail Rose Murray. It was actually a Amazon first read for August, but I ended up using my credit to get a different first read, which was a fantasy. But this one I also wanted to read, so I added it to my wish list. So I'm still interested in reading this one. And it's a historical fiction. And on GoodReads, I have the 4.43 star rating at the moment. So with 3,408 ratings. So that's pretty good. So, and it's a powerful, poignant novel about an artist unraveling her mysterious family history and its generations of women who depend on each other to survive. And it also says, Tig Costello has arrived in Darien, Kentucky, commissioned to paint a portrait honoring her grandfather Benjamin. His contributions to the rural Appalachian town and its unimpeachable war service have made him a local hero. But to Tig, he's a relative stranger. To find out more about him, Tig wants to talk to the person who knew her grandfather, Eloise Price, the woman who murdered him 50 years ago. Still confined to a state institution, Eloise has a lifetime of stories to tell. She agrees to share them all, about herself, about Tig's enigmatic grandmother, and about the other brave and desperate woman who passed through Benjamin's orbit. Most revealing of all is the truth about Whitmore Halls, the mansion on the hill that was home to triage, rescue, death, and one inevitable day that changed Eloise's life forever. As Tig begins to piece together the puzzle of her mysterious family tree, it sends her spiraling toward a confrontation with her own painful past and a reconciliation with all its heart-rending secrets. And that sounds absolutely fascinating and sounds right up my alley. I love historical fiction. I love mysteries and secrets with families. And it sounds right up my alley. And I'm really looking forward to reading that. And then the next book we have is also coming out. This was coming out on the September 3rd. And this one's called Passions in Death. It's number 59 in the In Death series. For those that don't know, J.D. Robb is a pen name for Nora Roberts. And pretty much anything she writes is right up my alley. And I will read absolutely anything that she puts out, regardless of what it is. So I'm very excited to read more of the In Death series. I'm still a little bit behind on the series. I have a couple of other books that I have not yet read in the series before I get to Passions in Death. But I very much am excited to read them all. Hopefully finally catch up on the series. Then the next one we have is called Primetime Romance by Kate Robb. This is supposed to be, there's a giveaway. Win a free print copy of this book. Don't mind if I do. The reason why I wanted this one originally was because it's supposed to be just like Dawson's Creek. And I actually love Dawson's Creek. So I am very much excited to read this book because it's supposed to be very similar. It has a star rating currently of 3.79 with 1,026 ratings. And it says, is love on the small screen better than the real thing? Bryn's happy ending has gone up in flames. She's newly divorced and living with a roommate, Josh, to afford her mortgage. At least she's got Carson's Cove to binge, her beloved 90s teenage soap. So when a birthday cake shows up on her and Josh's doorstep, Bryn makes a wish for her own happily ever after. The next morning, she doesn't wake up in her apartment. She's in Carson's Cove, and Josh is there too. Except they're not Bryn and Josh. They're the sweetheart and the bad boy. Will they stick to the script, or will real love change the story forever? And I'm very much excited to read this, because it sounds right up my alley, and I am very much excited for it. Next up, we have Immortal Dark by Tigus Gurma. I think is how she pronounces her name, I should say. I am very much excited for this because it says it's the Cruel Prince meets Ninth House in the seriously romantic dark academia fantasy. And I love the Cruel Prince series. And I did enjoy Ninth House, but I didn't love it. But the Cruel Prince series I absolutely loved. And I know there's definitely fantasy elements because there's vampires. And it says, it began long before my time, but something has always haunted our family. Orphan heiress, Kaiden Adane, grew up far from the arcane society she was born into, where human bloodlines gain power through vampire companionship. When her sister June disappears, Kaiden is convinced a vampire stole her, the very vampire bound to their family, the cruel yet captivating Suzenio Sagad. To find June, Kaiden must infiltrate the elite Uxley University, where students study to ensure peaceful coexistence between humans and vampires and inherit their family legacies. Kaiden must survive living with Suzenio's, even as he does everything he can to drive her away. It doesn't matter that Suzenio's wickedness speaks of Kaiden's own violent nature. It tempts her to surrender to a life of darkness. She must find her sister and kill Suzenio's at all costs. When a murder mirroring June's disappearance shakes Uxley, Kaiden sinks further into the ruthless underworld of vampires, risking her very soul. There she discovers a centuries-old threat, and June could be at the center of it. To save her sister, Kaiden must bring Uxley to his knees, and either break free from the horrors of her own actions, or embrace the dark entanglements of love and the blood it requires. And that sounds fascinating. I love vampire stories. I don't always vibe with dark academia, but I'm fascinated by this storyline, and I really want to know how that's going to go. And that also comes out on the 3rd. And the next one that I'm very excited for is called The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. I absolutely loved The Liar's Crown by her. I still need to continue that series. This one comes out September 3rd as well, and it's a new series. It's part of the Crucible series. This is going to be the first one. And because I think Red Tower is making this book, it has really, really pretty sprayed edges. And I am obsessed with how it looks. And I absolutely love the colors. It definitely vibes with the cover. And I cannot wait to read this one. It's a star rating currently at 4.59 stars, and only has 107 ratings. So this sounds very promising to me, and I am very excited for this one. And I know it's about gods. That's all I really know. But it says the gods love to toy with us mere mortals, and every 100 years we let them. I have never been favored by the gods. Far from it, thanks to Zeus. Living as a cursed office clerk for the Order of Thieves, I just keep my head down and hope the capricious beings who rule from Olympus won't notice me. Not an easy feat, given San Francisco is Zeus's patron city, but I make do. I survive. Until the night I tangle with a different god, the worst god, Hades. For the first time ever, the ruthless mercurial king of the underworld has entered the Crucible, the deadly contest the gods hold to determine a new ruler to sit on the throne of Olympus. But instead of fighting their own battles, the gods name mortals to compete in their stead. So why in the underworld did Hades choose me, a sarcastic nobody with a curse on her shoulders, as his champion? And why does my heart trip every time he says I'm his? I don't know if I'm a pawn, bait, or something else entirely to this dangerously tempting god. How can I when he has more secrets than stars in the sky? because Hades is playing by his own rules, and death will win at any cost. And that sounds right on my alley. It sounds like the Dark Olympus series, but instead of like dark romance, it's fantasy romance. Because the Dark Olympus series by Katie Robert is very slightly different, and it's only mythology based and no like fantasy elements. But this sounds like there's going to be trials, and trials is a buzzword for me, so I cannot wait for this book. And it comes out September 3rd, so I'm definitely planning on getting my hands on this book. It's one of the ones I'm most excited for. And the next one we have, so this next book I'm definitely interested in reading is called A Curse of Blood and Wolves by Melissa McTernan. And this was the first of a new series of the Wolf Brothers. And it currently has a star rating of 3.16. It's 2,720 ratings. I believe the indie version, I think you could still get the ebook on Kindle Unlimited, I think. But a physical copy is only just starting to come out in September, which is the 3rd, is when the physical copy's coming out. I love this cover. It is absolutely stunning. And I love wolves. And this is also a fairy tale reimagining of Little Red Riding Hood. And it's right up my alley. Because I love fairy tale reimaginings and retellings. I love them. And it says, is it possible to be drawn to someone you've never met? When Ruby feels the eyes of a stranger in the woods, she knows she should be scared, and she should run away, but she can't. Instead, she feels a thrill, feels drawn to the stranger who follows her in the woods, yearns for his eyes on her every night as she walks home, hoping to hear the crunch of leaves under his feet that signals he's there. Will he ever reveal himself? After all, fate doesn't make mistakes. And it sounds right up my alley, so I am excited for that one. And now the next one that's also coming out on the 3rd is a mafia romance that I'm very much interested in. Ooh, there's a giveaway for it. Let me enter that giveaway real quick. And this one's called Vow of Revenge by P. Rain. I think the P is just an initial. I'm pretty sure. And it's number 1 of a new mafia romance series. Oh, there's not. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to go to Amazon to get the description because for some reason, GoodReads doesn't have it. But I can tell you that it is a dark mafia romance. That much I know. And let's see what we got here. So this is the first installment of the Mafia Academy series, is what it says. It's a dark romance set at a boarding school for the sons and daughters of the most powerful mafia lords. And the two characters are Mirabella La Rosa and Marcelo Costa. And the synopsis is split between the two characters. So under Mirabella, it says, when my father arranged for me to marry the heir to the Costa crime family, I swore I'd do anything to escape that fate. I have more to offer than being some man's arm candy and producing heirs. Marcelo Costa might be my fiancé, but he'll never be my husband. So when he and his father are killed in a car bombing, I consider myself lucky. No longer will I have to go from being a mafia princess to becoming a mafia wife. I can now attend the Securo Academy, a private college created for mafia children like me. Well, all my plans come to a screeching halt when Marcelo shows up on campus alive and well, seeking revenge on those that crossed him. Then under Marcelo, it says, the look of shock on my fiancé's face when I walk into the classroom pleases me more than it should. Mirabella made it clear she didn't want to marry me, but at the moment I have a bigger issue on my hands. Revenge on whoever killed my father. Once I met out my own particular brand of justice, I'll remove Mirabella from campus and make her my wife. And no amount of pleading on her part will change my mind. And that sounds very interesting. I love mafia dark mafia romances are like right up my alley. They're one of my favorite romance buzzwords when it comes to dark romance. Mafia books are like some of my absolute favorite. So I'm very much excited for that. Even though it doesn't have, I mean, it's above a 3-star rating already. So that's good enough for me. And that comes out on the 3rd. And then I have another one coming out on the 3rd. So this next one is called Born of Blood and Shadows by Jamie Smith. I found this one on Instagram, actually. I happened to see something about it on my when I was in my search area. It has those pictures that you could click on, and I happened to see the cover for this one, a special edition cover, I think it was. And I'm like, ooh, let me look up this. And it sounded really interesting. And it has a current star rating of 4.03 on GoodReads and only 63 ratings. It's not really popular just yet. But it sounds interesting. It says magic is dangerous, bound magic is deadly. Left vulnerable to relentless witch hunters, Amorous will go any length to unbind her magic, even bargain with Xander, the dangerously attractive Fae heir. Caught in a whirlwind of ambition and lust, Amorous agrees to save him in exchange for learning Fae magic. Allies are scarce, trust is a luxury. With the witch hunters closing in, Amorous and Xander enact a blood bond, transporting them to the Fae kingdom of Elise. In a world torn by ancient vendettas and ruled by the Shadow King, Oberon, Amorous discovers her unbound magic may be key to the throne, unbound and used for her power. Xander will use any tool in his quest to rule, including the sexual tension between them, magnified by their blood bond. Oberon will do whatever it takes to keep the throne and make Amorous his, but he's not afraid to play dirty to win. The throne is a prize, lust is the game. Captured by Oberon, Amorous is seduced by the very darkness she's warned about. Torn between the intoxicating allure of Oberon's shadow magic and her intense bond with Xander, Amorous is left with no choice. Make her claim or be bound by blood and shadow. Which sounds so good, and it sounds like a fantasy romance I am going to love. And I am very much excited to read that. Moving on to our next one. It's also coming out on the 3rd. This one is called A Wrecking of Salt and Fire by E.K. Condos. Ooh, there's a giveaway for this too? Wow, that's amazing. A lot of the books that I want to read apparently have giveaways. I'm not going to say no. And this looks like another fantasy romance. And when I first read the description of this, I'm like, gimme. Because it sounds so good. And it currently has a star rating of 4.69 with 52 ratings. So that's not bad. And there is content warnings. It says it has several sensitive topics. For a full list, please visit the author's website. It says E.K. Condos is the author. So if you're interested in finding out what the content warnings is, I would look up E.K.'s website. And it's supposed to be a fantasy romance with pirates. So it says, plagued by fear, haunted by the sins of her past. Approaching 25, Katrin Draco should only be concerned with 2 things: being crowned Queen of Valentis and marrying her fated Cole. For 5 years, she focused on falling in love, on living, on becoming whole again. For 5 years, she was able to forget what the vile King Nicholas of Nexos had done to her. For 5 years, her nightmares did not return. But then the whispers started, a rumbling of rebellion poised to strike. The King of Nexos had never attacked before. Until now. Until right before the acknowledgement. So when a notorious pirate captures her, claiming to have saved her from the lies the leaders had woven into history, Katrin must decide if the enemy from her past had really been her ally this whole time. Decide before the world around her crumbles that not only her power, but the power of all the gods is lost forever, because sometimes the fates have other plans. And it's a new go. I'm sorry, it's a new adult book. And I'm very much excited because it sounds really, really good. Let's see. That's all the books that are coming out on the 3rd that I'm interested in. Now we're moving on to the 12th. So this next one's coming out on the 12th. Is actually used to be an indie book, but is now being traditionally published. And it also has a giveaway, so I'm entering the giveaway, which I'm very much fine with. The Fabric of Our Soul. The title is called The Fabric of Our Souls by K.M. Moro Nola. I swear I can't talk today. But the reason why I was interested in this one to begin with is because my friend Nikki read this when it was indie published. And she absolutely loved it. So much. And she was raving about it. Like, seriously, so much. When she was doing her YouTube channel. Unfortunately, well, right now she's on hiatus from YouTube. It was because of her I was interested in this book. Then when I found out that it's being traditionally published in September, I'm like, add to list. Because she hyped it up so much for me that now I need to read this. So it currently has a 4.22 star rating of 25,026 ratings, which is pretty good. So a lot of people must have already read this, like before it was traditionally published. And I'm very much excited for this. For those that don't know what it's about, it says 2 troubled souls find solace in each other at a rehabilitation facility in the spellbinding dark romance sizzling with eights. I'm 26 years old and I want to die. So when I wake up at the hospital with my brother weeping over me, I know my life is about to change. What I didn't expect was to get a nurse with cruel eyes and a morbid sense of humor that surpasses my own. I'm even more surprised when I arrive at Harlow's Sanctum and realize that my brother selected an unorthodox rehabilitation center that rooms people based on their treatment plan, and my roommate is none other than the man with cruel eyes I met the day prior. I crave death, he craves life. Can 2 people like us cure each other? And it's a dark romance, and it has to do a lot with mental health. So if you have any trigger warnings, make sure you look up those trigger warnings, because it sounds pretty dark. But my friend Nikki, she absolutely loves this type of thing. And she loved it, and now I need to read it. So I'm very much excited to read this when it comes traditionally published. So I want a physical copy of this, because I just have a feeling I'm going to love it. And then the next book that I have on my list, another book that people have been talking about like crazy, is Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. Ooh, there's a giveaway for that as well. Let me enter the giveaway. Anytime there's giveaways, for books that I'm interested in, I always have to enter them. Fear the Flames is a fantasy romance that used to be indie published, but now it's being traditionally published. And I know so many people love this book. When I heard it was going to be traditionally published, I'm like, fantasy romance? Sold. And I don't really know much about it, just as fantasy romance. So let me tell you a little bit of what it says. It says, as a child, Elwyn Atara was ripped away from her dragons and imprisoned by her father, King Garrick of Immerab. Years later, Elwyn is now a woman determined to free her dragons. Having established a secret kingdom of her own called Astillion, she's ready to do what's necessary to save her people and seek vengeance, even if that means having to align herself with the commander of Veriveth, Caden Vales, the most feared and dangerous man in all the kingdoms of Ravering. Caden is ruthless, lethal, and secretive, promising to help Elwyn if she will stand with him in all of Veriveth and the pending war against Immerad. Despite their contrasting motives, Elwyn can't ignore their undeniable attraction as they combine their efforts and plot to infiltrate the impenetrable castle of Immerad, to steal back her dragons and seek revenge on their common enemy. As the world tries to keep them apart, the pull between Elwyn and Caden becomes impossible to resist. Working together with their crew over clandestine schemes, the threat of war looms, making the imminent heist to free her dragons their most dangerous adventure yet. But for Elwyn, her vengeance is a promise signed in blood, and she'll stop at nothing to see that promise through. And that sounds fascinating, and there's dragons, and I'm all over it. And then the next one that I'm very much interested in is Grimstone by Sophie Lark. It was originally indie published. Then I saw it was being traditionally published with a new cover and sprayed edges, and I'm sold. Even though I read a few Sophie Larks, and I wasn't a huge fan, but they were okay. So this one is my make or break deal when it comes to Sophie Lark. I mean, I still want to read Anastasia by her because I love retellings, and Anastasia I think I'm going to like more. But I have no idea if I'm going to like Grimstone, but I'm still interested. I want to try it and see what I think. So I'm going to attempt to try and read Grimstone at some point. And it currently has a star rating of 3.66, 7,401 ratings, and all I know is that it's a dark gothic romance, I believe. I mean, this is what it says. It says Remy Hayes is beginning to think she's cursed. Her fiancé cheated on her. Her brother Jude is a major pain in her ass, and the moldering mansion she inherited from her uncle might just be haunted. Flipping Blackleaf Manor already feels impossible, even before Remy is blackmailed by Dane Covet, a dangerously hot doctor next door, and Grimstone's most eligible bachelor, if you can ignore the fact that everyone in town thinks he murdered his wife. Remy doesn't want to believe it, especially after Dane sews up a gash in her thigh and steals a kiss and fame it. A kiss that makes it hard to walk for reasons that have nothing to do with an injured leg. But as the renovation takes a strange and violent turn, Remy must decide if Dane is the one haunting her nights or if he's trying to protect her from something much worse. And it sounds interesting. I love stuff that has haunted houses. I think I'm going to enjoy it. So I'm excited to at least try it. So I'm never been a huge Sophie Lark fan, but I'm gonna try. We'll see. And then the next book I'm interested in reading. So this next book is called An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. This is coming out on the 17th of September. I've never read any of her books before. I know she's released others, but this one sounded interesting, and I want to try her and see if I like this book, because if I do, I might try to read her backlist. And it says it's a dark academia novel, so I've never actually done well with dark academia in general, but I'm going to try. It has a star rating right now of 3.99 with 181 ratings, so that's not too bad. And it says Lennon Carter's life is falling apart. Then she gets a mysterious phone call inviting her to take the entrance exam for Drayton College, a school of magic hidden in a secret pocket of Savannah. Lennon has been chosen because, like everyone else at the school, she has an innate gift of persuasion, the ability to wield her will like a weapon, using it to control others and, in rare cases, matter itself. After passing the test, Lennon begins to learn how to master her devastating and unsettling power. But despite persuasion's heavy toll on her body and mind, she is wholly captivated by her studies, by Drayton's lush, moss-draped campus, and by her brilliant classmates. But even more captivating is her charismatic advisor, Dante, who both intimidates and enthralls her. As Lennon continues in her studies, her control grows, and she starts to uncover more about the secret world she has entered into, including the disquieting history of Drayton College, and the way her mentor's tragic and violent past intertwines with it. She is increasingly disturbed by what she learns, for it seems that the ultimate test is to embrace absolute power without succumbing to corruption, and it's a test she's terrified she is going to fail. And it sounds really interesting, and I'm interested in seeing if I'm going to like it, because I've never read a book by her before, but it sounds fun, so I'm willing to give it a shot. I've heard somebody predict that it could be a Book of the Month book, so if that's the case, I'm definitely going to get a few Book of the Month. And then the next book we've got that is coming out on the 24th of September. Ooh, there's a giveaway for this one too. Don't mind if I do. This is called The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. And the reason why I want to read this one is because I absolutely love the House of Salt and Sorrow series that she's done. The first one has been my favorite. The second one was also pretty good, but not my favorite. But this is a new book that she is doing. And I'm very much excited for this, because I've really enjoyed her writing thus far. And I think it's going to be pretty good. It currently has a 4.4 star rating with 155 ratings. So that's not too bad. What it says is this. It says, this is the story of Hazel, a young healer navigating a ruthless court to save the life of the king, grappling with a pantheon of gods with questionable agendas, as she fights for agency and true love in her own life as the goddaughter of none other than Death himself. All gifts come with a price. And it says, Hazel Trepas has always known she wasn't like the rest of her siblings. A 13th child, promised away to one of the gods, she spends her childhood waiting for her godfather, Merrick, the dreaded end, to arrive. When he does, he lays out exactly how he's planned Hazel's future. She will become a great healer, known throughout the kingdom for her precision and skill. To aid her endeavors, Merrick blesses Hazel with a gift, the ability to instantly deduce the exact cure needed to treat the sick. But all gifts come with a price. Hazel can see when death has claimed a patient, and all hope is gone, and is tasked to end their suffering permanently. Haunted by the ghosts of those she's killed, Hazel longs to run. But destiny brings her to the royal court, where she meets Leo, a rakish prince with a disdain for everything and everyone. And it's where Hazel faces her biggest dilemma yet, to save the life of a king marked to die. Hazel knows what she is meant to do, and knows what her heart is urging her toward. But what will happen if she goes against the will of death? And it's supposed to be a fairy tale retelling. So it sounds right up my alley, and since I loved her other books, I really think I'm going to love this one as well. And I am very much excited for it. And then the next book we've got is The Slowest Burn by Sarah Chamberlain. I heard another booktuber talk about this book, and I'm like, okay, I'm sold. It's actually a romance. It also has a reality TV show that they're doing in the romance. So it has 3.89 star rating and a total of 368 ratings. And it sounds like a enemies to lovers romance as well, with a reality TV show involved. And I love books with reality TV shows. So as soon as I heard about this one from another booktuber, I'm like, okay, I'm interested. So it says, Kieran O'Neill should be on top of the world. He's just won a cooking reality TV show. He's on track to open his own restaurant before he turns 30. And he's even got a high-paying cookbook deal. Still, he can't impress his stuck-up family. His ADHD makes planning ahead impossible. And worst of all, his ghostwriter is the most uptight, humorless woman he's ever met. But to be seen as a serious chef like he's always wanted, he needs to finish his quote. Ellie Wasserman is barely holding it together. She's a 30-year-old widow living with her needy in-laws. Her little brother won't adult without her help, and instead of working on her own cookbook, she's ghostwriting one for the chaotic, impulsive Kieran O'Neill. Or would be if he ever answered her emails. But to own her own home like she's always dreamed of, she needs to finish this book. As her deadline gets closer, the heat between them builds. Can these two driven, lonely people let go of their past hurts and make something truly sweet together? Or will their fragile new love go up in smoke? And it sounds right up my alley. And the next one is called A Fire in the Sky by Sophie Jordan. I found this on Amazon with these beautiful sprayed edges. And I'm like, ooh, pretty. And then I heard that it was a fantasy romance, and I'm like, even better. So I added it to my list. I think there's a dragon in this one. I'm pretty sure. Oh, yep, even the first line says dragons are extinct. So, yep, there's dragons in this. I don't know much, so we're going to read the synopsis together. So it says, dragons are extinct, witches are outcast, magic is dying. But human lust for power is immortal. Dragonfire no longer blisters the skies over Patera, but inside the lavish palace, life is still perilous, especially for Tamsin. Raised in the glittering court alongside the princesses, it's her duty to be punished for their misdeeds. Treated as part of the royal family, but also as a lowly servant, Tamsin fits nowhere. Her only friend is Stig, captain of the guard, though sometimes she thinks he wants more than friendship. When Fel, the beast of the borderlands, descends on her home, Tamsin's world becomes even more dangerous. To save the pampered princesses from a fate worse than death, she is commanded to don a veil and marry the brutal warrior. She agrees to the deception, even though it means leaving Stig and the only life she's ever known behind. The wedding night begins with unexpected passion and ends in near violence when her trickery is exposed. Rather than start a war, Fel accepts Tamsin as his bride, but Kenny accepts the dark secrets she harbors. Secrets buried so deep, even she doesn't know they exist. For Tamsin is more than a royal whipping girl, more than the false wife of a man who now sees her as his enemy. And when those secrets emerge, they will ignite a flame bright enough to burn the entire kingdom to the bone. Magic is not dead, it is only sleeping. And it will take one ordinary girl with an extraordinary destiny to awaken it. And it sounds so, so good. I love dragons, and I love fantasy romance, and it sounds like it's something I'm really going to enjoy. So I am most definitely excited to read this one. And then now we're on to our last book. And this one's called This Fatal Kiss. It's by Alicia Jasinska. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but it has a giveaway going on, so might as well go for it. This one sounded interesting when I first read the synopsis. I forgot what it said originally, but when I did read it the first time, I'm like, sold. So I am totally ready for this book. And it has a star rating. It has a star rating of 4.04 out of 273 ratings. And it has it's a whimsical fantasy filled with dark magic and flirty polyamorous romance. So Clint, listen up, this might be for you. So this sounds really interesting. It says, cursed to haunt the river running through the magical spa town where she drowned, Gisela is a water nymph who dreams of returning to the living world and the family she left behind. All it takes to regain her humanity is a kiss from a mortal, but everyone sees her as a monster. And then there's Kazakh, a brooding, interfering, spirit-hunting grandson of a local witch. He's determined to rid the world of unholy creatures like Gisela. After Kazakh botches Gisela's exorcism, she strikes up a deal. She won't tell the other spirits that he's losing his magic if he agrees to play matchmaker and helps her get a kiss. But Gisela's plan goes awry when Kazakh also falls for the devilishly handsome young man that she sets her heart on, someone who could be linked to Gisela's troubled past. Finally crafted with a magical setting, this delectable quest to the spirit world is an enchanting read for fans of pure romanticy. So, this sounds great. Sounds right up Clint's alley. So, Clint, if you decide you want to buddy this with me, I'm down. And it sounds amazing. And I think that's all the books. I think I forgot to mention the star rating on Fire in the Sky. If I haven't, the Fire in the Sky, if you want to throw this in there, Ray, before I move on to the last book, it's a 4.02 star rating and 374 rating. And then This Fatal Kiss, I think I mentioned. And This Fatal Kiss has, 4.04 stars, 273 ratings. So I'm very excited for all of these books. I hope I brought some new ones to your attention that you weren't aware of. If you did, that's great. Let me know if I got you interested in any of these. If you already have some of these on your wish list, definitely let me know. And maybe I don't mind doing some buddy reads with some people. So if you're interested in any of them, definitely let me know. I am so down to read any of these with anyone and everyone because it all sounds so good. And I will try and put all the names of the books and the authors listed down below in case you want to look it up for yourself. And I hope you all enjoyed these anticipated reads for the month of September for me. If you did, give me a huge thumbs up. If you want to see more bookish content, make sure you smash the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you all in the next one.